The cold, inescapable void of space stretched before me, an eternal sea of blackness dotted with glimmering stars, like the flicker of distant dreams I could never grasp. But for me, as the supreme commander of the star sovereignty, it wasn't about dreams. It was about power, control, and survival in a galaxy that no longer cared for its inhabitants. A galaxy where the weak were consumed by the cold and indifferent forces of nature. That was until humanity. My name is Zephyrian Krynn, once the proud and invincible leader of an interstellar empire that spanned across hundreds of worlds. I had conquered planets, extinguished civilizations, and crushed every rebellion that dared to challenge my reign. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the greatest humiliation of my life, waging war on humanity. I had heard of them, of course. Humans were primitive, they said. A barely evolved species confined to a single planet, Terra, the so-called blue jewel of the Milky Way. Their history was filled with chaos, destruction, and petty squabbles. The star sovereignty laughed at their efforts to break free from their planet's boundaries. What could they possibly offer to the galaxy that the sovereignty hadn't already conquered? It was a mistake, a massive, galaxy-altering mistake that I would soon regret. It all started with a transmission. A strange signal emerged on the outer reaches of the sovereignty's territory. At first, I dismissed it as a glitch or some artifact from an asteroid belt. But my advisors, an arrogant, complacent group, begged me to investigate. What if it's a sign of something more, Your Excellency, they pleaded, their voices dripping with hesitation. A potential threat. Or an opportunity. An opportunity. I saw nothing but a waste of time. But, unwilling to be questioned, I ordered the fleet to investigate. We arrived at Terra. From the observation deck of my flagship, I observed the human homeworld. It was far less impressive than I had anticipated. A world of blue oceans and swirling clouds, teeming with an unrefined but vibrant life. I couldn't understand why we had even bothered to waste time on it. That's when I saw them. Humans. Thousands of them, looking up at the stars, as if they had no idea of the monumental forces that were poised to descend upon them. They lived in fear, but they didn't know what true terror was, what the sovereignty could do. We would show them. The moment I set foot on their soil was the moment I sealed my fate. Humans are fragile creatures, I thought. No match for the might of the sovereignty. But they possessed something I hadn't anticipated: defiance. The rebellion. A single ship, an ancient vessel, emerged from their pathetic little atmosphere and engaged us in battle. I ordered the Shadow Flame Armada to obliterate them immediately. The humans would learn quickly that their pathetic attempts at resistance were futile. We had the power to crush their entire civilization in an instant. But it didn't go as planned. Their ship wasn't powerful, no, but it was clever. It outmaneuvered us, using tactics that no one had ever expected. Their primitive technology, cobbled together from centuries of warfare, was far more advanced than I had given them credit for. I thought we would destroy their fleet in moments, but it took longer. Much longer. That battle was the first blow to my ego. I realized then that humanity, for all its flaws, was not to be underestimated. The battle stretched for days. We encountered resistance from every corner of their world, humans, hiding in underground bunkers, in forests, in cities. Everywhere we turned, there was resistance. They had no advanced technology, no Chinook to match the power of our greatest warriors, no interstellar fleets capable of launching a counterattack. Yet, they fought. They fought with everything they had, not because they stood a chance, but because it was in their nature. That was when I realized the most painful truth of all: humans will never give up. In the heart of one of their cities, surrounded by towering, crumbling structures and fields of burning debris, I faced their leader, a human known only as Horvan. His eyes were filled with fire, his face marked by years of survival against overwhelming odds. He stood alone, in front of his battered forces, looking up at me without fear. You may have the fleets, he spat, but you'll never break us. We fight for something bigger than you'll ever understand. I didn't understand at first. What could they possibly be fighting for? Their families. Their planet. I had conquered entire star systems, and yet these creatures, these humans, stood before me, unyielding, refusing to bow. I was the supreme leader, the one who had toppled empires. But here, I faced something new. In that moment, I was humiliated. I couldn't understand it. How could they stand against us? Against me? I decided to take a more drastic approach. I ordered the deployment of the Reapers, an elite unit known for their brutality, to wipe out humanity once and for all. They were unstoppable, trained for years, equipped with the finest weapons, and designed for pure annihilation. But they fought back. Against all odds, against all reason, humanity fought back. We had underestimated their resilience. We had overlooked the very thing that made them dangerous: their ability to adapt, to evolve under pressure. Every corner we turned, every planet we attacked, they adapted. They learned from their mistakes. They hit us where it hurt. That was the point when I realized, we had lost. I stood in the ashes of what should have been my final victory. My fleets had been shattered. My forces decimated. We had spent years trying to subdue them, only to watch as they outlasted us, outsmarted us, and drove us to the brink of extinction. There was no glory in this war. Only humiliation. And it was not just the defeat that stung, it was the realization that the sovereignty had no power over humanity. It was their will that we could not break. It was their spirit that crushed us. In the end, I was forced to withdraw, my once mighty empire in ruins. The humans, for all their flaws, had done the impossible. They had defeated the star sovereignty. And as I look out across the galaxy now, I cannot escape the truth. I will never forget the lesson they taught me. No matter how advanced we are, no matter how powerful our fleets, there is one thing that can never be conquered: the indomitable human will. The humiliation that once seemed like a fleeting moment has become my eternal burden. Now, as I drift through the stars, I remember their words, the words of Horvan. We fight for something bigger than you'll ever understand. What did they mean? What is it that drives them? I don't have the answers. But one thing is certain: I will never make the same mistake again. And maybe, just maybe, in the infinite reaches of space, I will find a way to return, stronger than before. But until then, I carry the shame of humanity's victory with me always. This is the story of the greatest humiliation of my life as Supreme Commander of the Star Sovereignty, a tale of defiance, resilience, and the impossible power of humanity. The war we waged on them, our greatest failure. A failure we would never forget. This revised version provides a much deeper look into the characters' internal conflict, expands the plot, and gives humanity the strength, determination, and resilience they need to make the antagonist's journey far more compelling.